K-Gun 9 on your side, live at 10, starts right now.
As we get closer and closer to a strike, local school districts are figuring out what they'll do when teachers walk out. We'll hear from the leader of Southern Arizona's largest school district about their plans. But first, protests breaking out in downtown tonight after a jury finds a Border Patrol agent not guilty of second-degree murder. Now they spilled out onto Congress at I-10, blocking the ramps to the freeway. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Pat Peristella. Inger has the night off. It's a mixed decision in the murder trial of Border Patrol agent not guilty of second-degree murder, but a hung jury, no decision on a lesser charge of voluntary and involuntary manslaughter. As K-Gun 9 on your side, Craig Smith reports, the decision outraged people who feel Border Patrol has a history of using excessive force.
Protesters blocked an intersection near the federal courthouse, angry that a jury found Border Patrol agent Lonnie Swartz not guilty of second-degree murder in the death of 16-year-old Jose Antonio Elena Rodriguez. In October 2012, Swartz fired 16 times through the border fence. He hit the teenager 10 times. Swartz said he was defending himself and other agents from people throwing rocks over the fence from the Mexican side, as agents and Nogales police tried to stop drug smugglers from climbing back over the fence to escape into Mexico. Prosecutors argued Swartz was angry about rock throwers and only needed to take cover to avoid any danger. The not guilty verdict on second-degree murder means Swartz cannot be retried for that one, but the other charges, the voluntary manslaughter and involuntary manslaughter, could lead to a new trial. The Border Patrol Union was pleased with the not guilty decision.
If you look at the entire circumstances, like the jury did, the reality is you had a federal agent that was doing his job, defending our borders, and he was attacked by a criminal element. And he was attacked in a way that could have killed him.
Protesters say this is another case where Border Patrol has gotten away with murder and human rights violations.
This case raised a lot of hopes and expectations that finally things would change, but unfortunately the evidence was distorted. The Border Patrol Union poured a lot of money into this to help distort the truth, and that's, in the end, they confused the jury enough to let Lonnie Swartz get off for now.
Government attorneys may decide if they will prosecute Swartz for manslaughter when they meet May 10th. Craig Smith, K-Gun 9 on your side.
Those protests began this afternoon, continued into tonight. Max Darrow is at I-10 in Congress, where protesters are still going strong. Both east and westbound ramps remain closed. Max, how's the scene looking right now?
Well, Pat, it's about 50 to 75 people here that are still blocking off the middle of the road here at I-10 in Congress. Take a look over here and you'll see that they've been chanting, waving signs and blocking off the road, doing this all showing their support for Jose Antonio Elena Rodriguez since that not guilty verdict came down this afternoon. Now, big picture here. The protesters are upset that Border Patrol agent Lonnie Swartz was found not guilty on the second-degree murder charge of shooting through the border fence back in 2012, killing 16-year-old Jose Antonio Elena Rodriguez. I did speak with many protesters tonight. One of the protesters I spoke with says she's disappointed in the justice system and she feels that they got this all wrong.
Well, so it's a hung jury, so there'll be a retrial, but that'll take ages. It's already taken 5 years for this to happen, so we'll never know, but we'll be out here protesting.
Now, at this protest with about 50 to 75 people here, there was one lone counter-protester, but the protest did remain peaceful. Police are telling me tonight there have been no arrests made at this point. Now, they did say they will let the protesters continue to be out here, but just in a matter of a few minutes, they plan on telling those protesters that they do need to reopen the road, so they plan to tell them they will have to move over to the sidewalk so they can get this road here, I-10 in Congress, back open. Pat?
All right, Max, thank you very much. As school districts brace for the walkout Thursday, 9 on your side's Priscilla Casper breaks down what schools are planning to do when that strike starts on Thursday.
Many school districts are still figuring out if they're going to remain open during the walkout. And a big question for parents is if the school does close, what that means for the rest of the school year. Red for Ed! The Red for Ed momentum is moving forward. After 57,000 Arizona teachers voted last week, 78% were in favor of a walkout. Tucson Unified School District is figuring out how many employees are planning to work and how many students will show up. The district says it may need to close schools. TUSD Superintendent Dr. Gabriel Trujillo says the district plans to address school closures tomorrow morning.
This is a 1-day, 2-day plan designed to help out working parents that have no place to take their child.
Late tonight, Marana Unified School District decided to close all its 18 schools on Thursday and is not sure when they'll reopen. Sal Rita Unified School District decided to close all its schools Thursday and Friday. Amphi, Sunnyside, Flowing Wells, and Sierra Vista Unified School District say they are working to avoid school closures, but if there's little staff, individual schools will be closed. The Santa Cruz Valley Unified School District says they plan to let students out early. Some school districts say parents will be notified by Wednesday of any school closures. For schools remaining open, parents need to call the attendance office if their child will be absent. School officials are still determining how a walkout will affect the rest of the school year and if school days will need to be made up. Graduation ceremonies and prom will be held at their scheduled times. School districts are not sure how long the walkout will last, but walk-ins are still scheduled for tomorrow and Wednesday. Reporting on the east side, Priscilla Casper, KGUN 9 on your side.
Southern Arizona's largest school district is ready for the walkout. Superintendent Gabriel Trujillo did come to our studios tonight. He told us how they're planning for a short walkout. TUSD is using parent surveys to determine how they'll need to staff each school so parents have time to make arrangements.
The early trend right now is, for the most part, we're looking at anywhere between 30 to 40% attendance on Thursday.
Trujillo says they're working hard to make sure parents won't have to miss work and kids won't have to miss a hot meal during the work stoppage. He says TUSD schools won't have to make up any days if the strike lasts less than 3 days. If it extends far into next week, some schools will have to adjust their schedule, possibly extend their school years. Kyler Diggs in for Aaron Christensen again tonight. I don't see any raindrops in your forecast whatsoever.
No, I'll tell you what, it's pretty dry out there. Those few that we got yesterday, I call it a 4-inch rain because there was about 4 inches between each raindrop.
If you even got any. Yeah.
Yeah. But hey, you know, you gotta love these nights, Pat. Look at that view from Tucson Hill right now. Yes, those lights shining brightly out there, and it's a mild evening as well. Let's take a look at some of those high temperatures we recorded across the area today. 93 in Tucson is where we went. 77 in Show Low, 96 degrees in Phoenix, 85 in Sierra Vista. And right now we are at a comfortable 74 degrees in Tucson, already dropping into the 60s across Cochise County, 66 degrees in Nogales, 86 in Phoenix. We got a lot to talk about, actually. We've got an air quality advisory. We've got more 90s in the forecast and maybe even a few thunderstorms for some portions of southeastern Arizona as well. We'll talk about it coming up here.
All right, Kyler, thank you. 1,100 red shirts laid out on the U of A Mall. How organizers are hoping this demonstration can help students struggling with mental illness. You're watching KGUN 9 on your side. More than 1,000 red shirts laid out at the U of A Mall today, representing each college student who took their own life last year. The event is meant to raise awareness for suicide and mental health in general. Active Minds President Lexi Lofstad says it's a growing problem and there is help out there.
So often, you know, you see your number of a person died of suicide, and that's obviously very tragic and unfortunate, but we don't realize what a drastic and huge epidemic it is right now, especially the number is rising each year.
The university has resources for students dealing with mental illness. The number to call for help is on our website, kgun9.com. Kyler Diggs, warm today, bordering on hot. What's it going to be like the next few days?
It sure was, Pat. Well, it's going to be pretty hot if you consider 90s hot, and it's still pretty warm out there, 74 degrees. You wouldn't know it now, but we've got an air quality advisory to talk about, too.
Plus, coming up, how a local car dealership is helping kids stay on the right track when it comes to education. You're watching KGUN 9 on your side. Protests are continuing in downtown tonight, now more than 6 hours after the not guilty verdict of Lonnie Swartz came down in federal court. Swartz was facing trial for shooting and killing a 16-year-old Mexican teen through the border fence back in 2012. 9 on your side's Max Darrow joins us again live now. He's been talking to protesters for the last couple of hours. Max, anything changed out there?
And Pat, sorry, we're having a little trouble hearing you out here. It's a little bit loud with this cheering going on. So anyway, what you're seeing right here is the protest that has been going on for several hours that is now blocked off eastbound and westbound on-ramps of I-10 at Congress. If you take a look, there's about 50 to 75 protesters here in the middle of the road. Now, police have told me that they won't be out here all night long. Soon they will have to move them out of the street, ask them to move out of the street so they can get this intersection open soon enough. From chanting to waving signs, these protesters blocked the road off to protest this verdict delivered this afternoon in the trial of Border Patrol agent Lonnie Schwartz, who was found not guilty of a second-degree murder charge of Mexican teen Jose Antonio Elena Rodriguez. One man, a protester, says Schwartz needs to be tried again because he feels the jury got the verdict wrong.
We're going to continue following the case. We're going to continue supporting and having solidarity with the family who lost a child and who didn't see justice today. We'll continue supporting them as they move forward, and we'll continue demanding for justice. Those are the next steps.
So the jurors, they could not come to a decision on a verdict for the other charges, the lesser charges, which include voluntary and involuntary manslaughter. Now, Schwartz can be retried on those charges. But again, right now, out here, as this is still going on, it was a peaceful protest. At this point, there were no arrests made. And again, the lanes right here at the Congress interchange for eastbound and westbound I-10 are blocked off. I'll send it back to you, Pat.
All right, thanks, Max, very much. Fire restrictions may change the way you camp starting May 1st. Land management groups in southeastern Arizona aren't allowing campers to light fires. They're also prohibiting the use of explosives and smoking outside. Also, no welding, no firing a gun, and no going off-road on Forest Service lands. Violating those restrictions could land offenders in jail for 6 months and cost up to $5,000. The restrictions take effect May 1st and will last indefinitely.
Now, KGUN 9 on your side. First warning weather. Brought to you by Casino del Sol, the soul of Tucson.
Kyler in for Aaron tonight. These hot temperatures going to last indefinitely as well?
Yes, they are. And you pair that up with our dry conditions.
So dry.
Yeah, pretty easy to understand why we've got those fire restrictions in place for good reason. Let's take a look at the numbers today. And we usually take a look at the temperatures first, but I'll direct your attention to the bottom there. And we're already approaching 1 inch below average for the year. And here we are only in the second part of April. So we're not doing too good as far as moisture goes. As far as temperatures, we were above average today. 93 degrees the high this afternoon in Tucson. 59 was our mild start to the morning. 84 and 54 the averages. Take a look at this beautiful picture right here. It's a time for reflection. David Grinney out there at Fort Lowell Park Pond. And that was just a gorgeous scene this evening. Share it. KGUN9.com is the address if you've got any beautiful photos like that you'd like to share with us. Let's talk a little bit about the sunrise and sunset too. We're gaining a lot of daylight these days as we work our way closer to summer. Sunrise tomorrow morning will occur at 5:45. And we're going to have over 13 hours of daylight tomorrow. Sunset tomorrow evening now occurring all the way back to 7 p.m. Temperatures right now across southeastern Arizona, 75 in Safford, 74 degrees in Tucson at the airport, 74 in Sells, and still 86 in Phoenix in that little heat island there. And for tomorrow, we'll see a mixture of clouds and sunshine with highs climbing back into the 90s. Let's talk about this too. We do have an air quality advisory that includes Pima County and Maricopa County into the Phoenix area. And this is for elevated ozone levels, and we can thank some of this heat today that we're going to see tomorrow as well, and very little mixing in our atmosphere, not a lot of wind to mix out all those particulates. So what you can do is limit your outdoor exertion, particularly between noon and 6 p.m. That's when those ozone layers tend to be a little bit higher, and just take it easy over the next couple of days, and then we'll see a weather pattern change that should mix some of that out by the time we get to the end of the week. 60 degrees in Albuquerque, in the last hour, 48 in Flagstaff, 86 though in Havasu, and 87 in Palm Springs. Take a look at the national map. Pretty chilly there in Billings. There's another shot of cold air coming in from Canada that will slide right down along the front range of the Rockies. So tomorrow in Denver, 42 degrees. Keep that in mind if you're traveling to the Mile High City. And we've also got some rain trying to move offshore there. This is that slow low that's been moving across the nation over the last few days. Scattered showers and thunderstorms there. And we're seeing just a few high clouds across southern Arizona. Here's your temperatures for tonight. Overnight lows dropping into the 40s and 50s, 56 in Tombstone and 56 in Sonoyta. And then as we go to the west of Tucson, some upper 50s, lower 60s. Around the metro area, we'll see some lower 60s. And tomorrow, pretty much what we saw today. Upper 80s, lower 90s in the lower elevations, lower 90s to the west of Tucson, around the metro area. Sahuarita, 92 degrees, 70 though in Summer Haven if you like that cooler stuff. And then as we take you through the next 7 days, overnight lows, hey, that's where it gets nice into the mid 60s, but we'll keep those 90s all the way to the end of the week. And then by the end of the week, maybe a slight chance of showers and storms near the New Mexico border. We'll be watching out for that dry lightning that